Well, hello everyone. This is Wilson Cole. I am president of Adams, Evans & Ross and Backdoor Hire Collections. And one of the questions that I get asked quite a bit is, Wilson, do you guys make more money through when the economy slows down, or are you guys busier when the time is good? A lot of times people assume that we're going to just do phenomenally well in tougher economic times, and then we slow down during the busy times. And one thing I can say is, and I wish I could say that it was by some ingenious thought process 32 years ago, but over in collections, you're almost in a recession-proof, or as much as you're going to be as a recession-proof business. During the good times, you're going to be busy because there's a lot more business being done. People are not as tight on cash, so they're probably extending cash to companies that they shouldn't have extended credit to. But during the bad times, they tighten up on credit, but maybe the bigger companies or the more solid companies, they get into trouble and they start coming into collection. So there's always a fairly consistent flow of new debt that's coming in here for us to collect. Our numbers have increased every year. Some of that is just by the inflationary aspect of wages, where if inflation's 5%, next year our numbers by theory should be 5% more, just because numbers have gone up 5%. But they typically stay pretty consistent, unless there is a downturn coming or if there's a recovery that starts. The telltale sign that we utilize is if we're going along in numbers or that 5-10% growth, but all of a sudden we see a huge surge in collections, then something we know is going on in the economy. Is it something systemic? Is it just a fear? But if we see a huge surge of companies coming in for collections, we know, hey, we may be going a little bit into a slowdown. Now, let me throw out a little bit of a prerequisite on that is, I would say in the last 10 years, we have seen 5 or 6 surges. Only 2 of them were what I would deem, one was back from 2008. That was a huge surge. We saw a little bit of a surge in the early teens. And then, of course, with COVID, within 90 days, we saw debt just go through the roof because of, obviously, the situation with COVID. What we typically find in a recovery is that we see a surge in backdoor hires, but we also see a surge in staffing debt, because typically what happens, and it makes a lot of sense, is during the good times, recruiters are a little busier. During bad times, in my opinion, recovery, staffing firms start becoming a little busier because people don't want to build up their own payroll with permanent staff, so they use the flexibility of staffing firms. And so if we see surges of staffing firms coming in, that tells us that there's probably coming in just because of the sheer volume of the debt. So as a general rule, it's always going to be consistent, except for the entrance into a little bit of a slowdown, and then on the exit into a recovery, we see a little bit of an uptick in collections placed. And then also we see backdoor hires, and we see backdoor hires surge going into a recession. We see backdoor hires coming out of a recession. Those 2 things are always pretty consistent. If we can help you with any collections, please visit us at our website, staffingdebt.com, or if you want to book a demo to look at our backdoor software, go to backdoorhires.com.